So this is planning board meeting, Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. The first thing will be to take attendance for the record. I know Eric is unable to join us this evening, but Todd, if you want to take attendance.
Sure thing. I will begin with the chair, Pete.
I am here, finally.
Mark.
I'm here, at least physically.
That's all that matters. James.
Here.
Michael, sir.
Here.
And Bob.
Here.
Is that good? That's all.
Okay. First item on the agenda, town planner report.
That's right. Just to keep the board in the loop, I went ahead and submitted our Green Communities annual report last Thursday. I just received word from DOER that it has been accepted, which is a relief to me. Having been here only 2 months, but having to report for the past 12 was interesting, but it got done. That, of course, allows us to write for further grant funding and enables us to serve as basically a ticked box of requirements for other future grant opportunities. Most notably, some grant projects that we're looking to write for the Emerson School come the spring round of grants, which it was not a small amount of work. And I'd like to thank all of my my department colleagues and heads as well for providing me the necessary data. On top of that, also, I did some digging relating to scenic roadways, not only items that are pertinent to the immediate items to be discussed here shortly, but also ways that we can, looking forward to the future, how we can tighten up those regulations and make them a bit more suitable for towns such as Bolton. On top of that, also, I've dug into some of the necessary requirements relating to drain water and stormwater entering public roadways and public rights of way. I spoke with DPW Director Heglin, and we came to some understanding in relation to our shared driveway bylaw, as well as some of the relevant statutes at the state level. On top of that, also, I submitted to the town administrator a list of possible warrant articles, and I classified them green, yellow, and red in scale of increasing difficulty and time restrictions and time requirements. There are some items there that I will be discussing with you folks later on today, either at the end of the meeting or close approximating it. We can't get too deep into discussions, but I would like to arrange a public hearing date outside of the December 7th next meeting. We might need to have an additional meeting to discuss these agenda items. Especially if the end result of that discussion could be a warrant article for the next upcoming town meeting. So I'd like that to marinate in your head for a little while. Aside from that, life has been rather good. Things have been steady, rather busy, but everything is going along just as it should. And I look forward to answering any questions that you guys may have.
Great, thanks. Thanks very much. I don't have any questions right now. Does anyone else on the board have anything for Todd before we move on to other items this evening?
Todd, do you want to mention any conversations you've had with town council with respect to a couple of the ongoing developer issues?
Sure. So I reached out to Council Falk for some of the delinquent subdivisions that we've had here, and especially in terms of what we can do at the municipal level to work with some of these delinquent subdivisions and see if there's any measure of control that we can exert from the municipal level towards these incomplete subdivisions and possibly getting these roads accepted at the town level. Ideally for the next upcoming meeting, but the odds of that are sadly vanishingly small. I'm still waiting word back from Council Falk, especially for some of the key subdivisions here. We only communicate with those subdivisions through our respective council. So it's been elevated out of my office, out of the town administrator's office, and it's in its entirety being being slogged through and duked out between two sets of lawyers. And aside from that, I haven't any new information yet to report, but you can be gosh darn sure when I get it, I'll be the first to yell it from the rooftops. As a second item, not related to that, we do have our tree warden here on the call as well to provide us some updates for, as well as Ryan Proctor, to provide us some updates in relation to the previous tree hearings that we had at the previous meeting, lots 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 respectively, off from the previous tree hearings. So I would like to see that we have those items addressed before we begin opening the items for the 3 public hearings that we have regularly scheduled. If nothing else, just out of deference to the fact that it could be rather late in the night, and these 2 items are pretty brief in their updates. And as I know that Ryan Proctor was gracious enough to request a continuance for lots 7 and 8 from the previous hearing, for ideally to appear on our December 7th meeting agenda. So aside from that, I'd like to hand it back to you.
Okay, yeah, thanks for that update, Todd. We appreciate it. Certainly understand that, you know, the difficult subdivisions in question are a little bit outside of what the board really can do much on, and I know there's some frustrated folks about that, but that's just kind of the way it is. So we appreciate any info you pass on, and
Sure thing.
there. So yeah, let's talk about first about those lots, those 2 different Meadow Road tree hearings that we had last time. So Ryan, yeah, if you're on, thanks for joining. If you want to, I know I saw your note. Happy to have an update on both. If you can do that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for your time tonight. Just real quick here, as Todd said, we don't yet have, I'll talk about lot 5 and 6 first, which is the one where they had begun clearing already. At the last meeting, there were some mitigation trees. It was requested that they restore the stone wall back to what it was, as well as a $500 fine. So I just wanted to provide a quick update on those lots. Again, lot 5 and 6. The owner has cut the check for the $500 fine. He said he mailed it to the town today. I believe he sent an email to the planner as well regarding that. Additionally, I met on site this morning with Mark Case to take a look at what the contractor had begun working on. They had begun restoring a large portion of the stone wall that they had altered. On the sidewalk, Mark and I agreed that it might be in our best interest to survey locate where the wall was previously before construction started. So I've put in a survey request at my company to have our guys go out there and put stakes at the exact locations of the stone wall, just to ensure that it's put back into the location that it was formerly. Additionally, we're going to stake 2 points of the center line of the proposed driveway, so that we can make sure that the tree mitigation, the 6 trees that are going to be planted there, can be installed in such a way that they won't inhibit the construction of the driveway when it eventually gets around to being constructed. And Mark and I were there, and we kind of handpicked a couple locations for those trees. I think that's all I have to say about 5 and 6. Mark, if you have anything to add, feel free to jump in.
Sure. So as Ryan mentioned, we met there this morning. The applicant had reconstructed a large portion of the wall. However, we requested them to repair the wall to pre-existing conditions. So they reconstructed the wall to the point where there's a break for what would be the proposed driveway. We're asking them to fix that wall completely to like the way it was prior to any disturbances. So there is a small break in the wall, but it's not in the correct spot. So they're going to do some more wall reconstruction. Ryan and I did talk about rough tree locations. We're remembering that it's not going to be a landscape planting plan. It's more of a reforestation type planting. So there's going to be some trees that are closer together than you'd normally see, but the intent is to plant sizable trees back in the public right of way. That will not be affected if the plan they submit is approved. So in other words, we don't want to be planting trees where there's a catch basin or something like that. So Ryan's going to relocate the break in where the existing wall was. And once that's reconstructed and the grade has been reestablished, then Ryan and I will meet on site again and locate those 6 tree locations.
Okay, yeah, appreciate the update. Both that, I guess the only question I have, and maybe this is actually Todd, a question for you. Had recall at the last meeting, we had a hearing and we had those remediation actions, and you mentioned that the Conservation Commission had issued a cease and desist order that was still in place, at least at the last meeting.
That is
there
correct.
a coordination between, this effort and the Concom, so that like they're not going to lift the cease and desist until all of this is sorted out? Because I don't know if there's any other reasons why they issued that are not, not within the purview of the planning board.
Sure. I will be working alongside Rebecca to make sure that everything is up to her satisfaction, because it would be on her to be the entity that can lift that cease and desist, as it originated from her office. So I'll be working alongside Rebecca, and upon receipt of that $500 check, as well as confirmation from Mr. K, our tree warden, Mr. Case, as long as he's satisfied and Rebecca is satisfied, that should be enough to satisfy the lifting of that cease and desist order. And
Okay.
Just remember, we're not going to be asked. We want all the reconstruction done.
Mhm.
So it's not, they're going to promise that they're going to plant trees. The trees are going to be planted and established.
Yes, this action, it was important. I mentioned this at that hearing, that the spirit of that hearing was not anything but an enforcement action. It was to see exactly what punishments were adopted and assessed upon the applicant there and levied on them. This is not a request, it's more of a command. And then they can come back before us if they need to, if they need to in the future, for any future permits, but they need to get back into the good graces of the bylaws written before anything further can happen.
So, yeah.
If I could clarify one thing too, I think the cease and desist that was issued by Conservation Commission had 4 action items for the client, and all of those were addressed within, I think, a week or 2 of receiving that letter. So I can certainly check with Rebecca to make sure that's been lifted, but as far as I know, the applicant and owner did address those 4 comments, at least for conservation.
Good.
Yep, thank you.
And to the chair, if I may,
Sure.
as an addendum to my town planner report, I also received a report also of a stone wall destruction along Manor Road, which I have already drafted up my own office's cease and desist order for that particular item, requesting that they, again, after the fact, that they apply and schedule a public hearing with the planning board here for any of those items to be lifted and to move forward there. So I'll keep you posted on that as it moves. Apologies for forgetting.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much for that info. Okay, does anyone else on the board have any questions related to the lots 5 and 6 before we move on to lots 7 and 8, I believe? Okay. So thanks for that update. So Ryan, if you want to talk about lot 7 and 8, which I think was going to be a request for continuing the hearing.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I sent Todd a request to continue. At this time, we've been working through a couple of different iterations to try to address a lot of the comments and concerns that came up at the last meeting. On top of that, we've reached out to Randy, the DPW director. We'd like to coordinate with him and make sure that all the work we're proposing within the right of way is consistent with what the DPW wants. If there's anything we can do to work with them to make that right of way better, we're going to try to do that as well. And unfortunately, he couldn't get out to the site to look at it before this meeting, so that's why we requested the continuance. But I just want to let you know we're working on it. We have a couple iterations going, so hopefully by the December 7th meeting, if we can get on that, we should have some revised plans for you.
Sure, and just very quickly, Ryan, I do happen to have a citation within our town regs that stipulate that it's, I'll actually read it out here. Under driveways, under sections 250-17, driveways and parking, under the general code of Bolton. Item A3 under 250-17 says no person shall construct or maintain any driveway, conduit, or drain so as to discharge water or filth upon the street pavement or into open waterways or ponds. So mind that whatever design iteration does come out of this office, it cannot spill into the builder roadway.
Absolutely. And that was something that came up extensively at the last meeting. So certainly we want to address that as much as we can.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have no objections to continuing until the 7th. So I'll entertain a motion for that unless anyone on the board has any other questions they'd like to ask or anything to discuss.
I will make a motion to continue the public hearing for lots 7 and 8 Meadow Road until December 7th.
Second,
Very good. I will begin a roll call vote. I'll begin with Pete,
Aye.
Mark,
aye.
James,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
and that satisfies. Very good.
All right. Thank you everyone for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the correspondence. It's appreciated.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
You too. Take care.
Okay, so next we have a few public hearings that were continued previously. Just before we get into that, and I have to step away at some point in the next half hour or so, just for a couple of minutes. Get my daughter into bed, so if I go off camera, I'll be right back. But the first item is continued backland lot special permit, shared driveway permit, Christopher Slaves, 62 South Bolton Road. Have we had any correspondence, Todd, on this one, or is anyone here to talk to this?
This one's been ever since September 28th, their previous appearance. I have not received any correspondence one way or the other on this particular item, but we did agree to continue them to this day. So that's why it takes its place as our first item.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what your perspective is. I mean, from my perspective, we haven't heard for a long time. I'd be tempted to close the hearing and,
Yeah.
They can come back if they want to come back and we have to repost it, but I don't know what your recommendation would be. I want to just keep continuing, especially if we're not getting anything from them, right?
I agree that would be a waste of our time. I can advise that if you do choose to close the hearing, you can choose to act upon the application as presented and act however you choose to. However, if you do that, it is subject to the cooling off period, of course. So that's something to keep in mind. So I defer to your preference. I'm more than happy to continue this along if you'd like. Or we can continue this out towards, I don't know, maybe another month. And in the interim, I'll try to reach out and see if they can get to us for maybe a December 7th, maybe. But they've been very mum's the word and very difficult to reach.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, we could either do one of two things, right? We weren't happy with the application as it was, so we would want to deny it, right? If we were gonna go down that road, like I wouldn't, my opinion, I'd want to deny it and close the hearing, deny the application. If we want to give them another month, we want to continue for another month, I'd be okay with that, with to say we'll reach out to you and say, hey, we'll continue another month, but if you don't give us anything, that's what we're gonna do, right? So I'd be okay either way, but
I'm thinking about this from the defensibility standpoint. I would like to have some correspondence stipulating you need to reach out to us by X date, or we will take action based on the evidence already provided, based on the items already provided.
Okay.
So that way, if they were to appeal it, we could demonstrate that they had a failure to appear. And at that point, it puts us in a better position on appeal, I would say.
Yeah,
And-
that
and-
sounds fair to me, yeah. Sorry, Mark.
If we deny it, what the cooling down period says they can't come back for
2 years.
2 years, yeah, so. I mean, I
To
think,
make this, yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt. It's to
Yeah.
prevent repetitious
Right.
applications. That's why it has that cooling off period. And that
Yeah.
typically is what provokes folks to seek appeal immediately or seek satisfaction immediately. And if that were to happen, we would have to defend our rationale for denying the application. So this way, if we give them basically a one last chance notice saying we need to see you at December 7th, or we'll take action based on items provided. That puts us in a bit of a better position, I would say.
but they could also come back and say, okay, we're just gonna withdraw the application until
Yeah.
it's ready and come back in the spring or whenever it's
Exactly.
really ready. Which
Without
would be more
prejudice, yeah.
beneficial for them. So-
Yeah, if I were on
Yeah.
their side, I would request that if they're not ready to simply withdraw without prejudice and then simply
Yeah.
reapply when they have their ducks in order.
Yeah, so I think giving them until the December meeting, is plenty of time for them, and it's less contentious all the way around for everybody, so
Yeah,
I think that
mean,
would be,
it's more of a velvet glove versus an iron gauntlet, but yeah, I mean, different ways
Yeah.
to the same place. Yeah,
and it makes sure that they know what the, if we don't hear from them, what the, what's gonna happen, so.
yeah, that's the or else, I suppose.
Yeah. And spelling that out so they make sure, so they understand that, I think it'd be good.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Hello,
Yes,
Mr. Mata, how are
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
Sorry about that. I've been trying to join. I just got on.
Not to worry, you got plenty of
Okay.
um.
time.
Okay, yeah, that's, I mean, let's not make anything more complicated than we need to, so I'm very good with that approach, Todd, if you wanna. Reach out to them with that.
Sure.
Message from the board, and then we'll address it one way or another at the summer meeting.
Sure. What I'll do is I'll pencil them, if provided you folks take the action to continue this to 12/7, I will pencil them in for the second item on that agenda, right after the tree hearings for 7 and 8 that we discussed previously. I'll pencil them in for that, and if they don't respond to me, or they haven't replied to any of my correspondence so far, then we'll just have to take action at that point after they've been duly warned and noticed.
Okay, sounds like a path forward, so I'm good with that if someone wants to make a motion, unless there's other discussion.
This is 62 South Bolton Road, Todd?
This here is for Christopher Slade's, 62 South Bolton.
I'll make a motion to continue the hearing for backland lot special permit and shared driveway permit for 62 South Bolton Road until December 7th, second agenda item.
Second,
Very good. Roll call vote. I'll begin with Pete,
Aye,
Mark,
aye,
James,
aye,
Michael.
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries.
okay. All right, on to the second item in the public hearing section here. So this is continued backland lot special permit and shared driveway special permit from Alpha Terra Design for 0 Main Street. So I think this one, Todd, is the one that this is the one that we had the link email you sent earlier today, right?
Yes, that's correct. This one here is the one that was discussed previously relating to the engineering concerns, drainage, etc.
Gotcha, okay.
I do believe we have the applicant and or their representative present.
Yes, sir. You have Chris Anderson with Hannigan Engineering on the line.
Great, yeah, thanks, Chris. So if I remember correctly, the thing we were looking at the end of our last meeting was, I believe it was looking at a larger diameter pipe related to the stormwater drainage setup and doing some calculations around that.
Yes, sir. So at the last meeting, we continued with the mentality of providing a little bit of extra information. So we did agree we'll upgrade the subdrain system that's surrounding the driveway up to an 8-inch. I forward over Todd an 8-inch subdrain detail depicting the size and the construction mentality behind the subdrain system. We would request that be incorporated into the final construction plan, and if the board acts on it tonight, conditioned as such. In addition to that, I also provided a calculation for the subdrain to figure out how much stormwater, if you will, it can accommodate. Based on the calculations of its contributing area, we're looking at about a 3.55-inch rainfall event in 24 hours. That the subdrain will be able to accommodate during drier periods of the year. And just to give the board a reference point, a 2-year storm event is 3 inches of rain in a 24-hour event. So this subdrain system would be able to accommodate up to a 2-year storm event, which is pretty much the typical larger rain event you'll see during a summer time frame, if you will. And besides that, I believe that was the only additional request from the board at the last meeting. So if there's any questions relative to that item, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Was there any discussion of an operation and maintenance plan? Was that submitted?
That was submitted prior to the last meeting with the last
That's right.
plan set submittal, if you will.
Okay,
And I
just
think,
wanted to see if there's any change. Good. Okay.
Okay, yeah, thanks very much, Chris, for the update. I don't have any questions at the moment.
So on a 5-year or 10-year storm, what's the drainage? To just surface runoffs until it gets to the rain garden or wherever the drainage basins?
So in a larger storm event, what will happen is the water will be pitched into that swale. Todd, am I able to share my screen by chance?
Yes, you are. Feel free.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, since all that's in the link was just the profile, not the rest of the plan. So
Todd, it's telling me I'm disabled from participating in screen share.
Yeah, let me get you here. All right, try now.
There we go. So can everybody see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So in larger storm events, what will happen is the water will overwhelm the subdrain system, and then will be directed towards a stone line swale that runs along the lower side of the driveway. That swale system will have a series of yard drains built into it to help alleviate the flow as it goes down this driveway, effectively spreading the wealth, if you will, of the stormwater runoff from the driveway itself. And any water that does ultimately gets past these yard drain systems gets discharged into the rain garden for additional mitigation. Beyond that rain garden, there's an additional swale that discharges to a large level spreader device to help slow down water before it hits the wetland area at the bottom of the driveway.
Okay, does anyone else have
Okay.
questions or comments?
No.
Um, okay, obviously this is a, challenging, driveway with the terrain, and, we appreciate, Chris and the applicant, taking all of our comments and discussion, on this. We're just trying to think about things that, might be a problem in the future, and so we appreciate you working with us on this. I don't have any more questions or comments, on this project, and would be willing to move forward. If anyone else on the board has anything, that they would like to discuss, or objections, feel free to raise those. Otherwise, we can, I guess what we do, Todd, is close the public hearing, and typically we vote on the decision once it's written up. I think is what we've been doing.
Sure, as long as we're mindful of the timelines, that's absolutely fine.
So, Todd, the OMP did we discuss that's gonna be part of the deed for the
Yes.
property?
Yeah, it would need to be a deed rider, definitely.
Okay, and is that part of our decision, or is that just what happens now?
No, it'll be part of the decision, it'll be part of the condition there.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll address that. Does anyone on the board also have any particular conditions they would like to place on this particular item? Does anything immediately come to mind? I would definitely advocate for the deed rider restriction, definitely.
Does that level spreader going into the wetlands, is that run afoul of the bylaw that we were talking about with the other lots, or?
That bylaw that I was mentioning, it
Yeah.
cannot have, drainage cannot be angled into the street. That's the spirit of
Okay.
that.
Okay, so it's just into the street, not into abutting wetlands or anything. Okay.
Yeah, it's that as well as for like silt, et cetera, and other infiltrations.
Okay.
I would honestly, I would also like to, as part of that operation and maintenance plan, I would like to see a rather robust section on frost and ice prevention and mitigation. If that's possible, I would like to see that as well, because these corners could be rather dicey in the winter months if it's left to get covered in sheet ice.
We did include a snow management plan system as
Excellent.
well. Pretty much stating that the driveway will be plowed on a regular basis, and that snow will not be plowed into any abutting resource areas nor stormwater BMPs. And if in the event of large subsequent storm events, the snow will have to be removed or relocated from the driveway. Icing and sand compounds will be used as needed. And designated snow storage areas shall be kept clear of debris and not utilized for excess storage. And all stormwater BMPs will be maintained to prevent excessive ice buildup as well. So that's been included in the operation maintenance plan.
Sure thing. And just keep in mind that will certainly be that'll be on the forefront of Concom's mind too, just as a word to the wise.
Yep, nope. And when we reviewed this with the commission a few months ago, they were accepting of the plan and our intent behind it.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Which parking lot are you referring to in item 1 there?
Parking lot. There's a couple small turnoff areas which I can kind of reference as a parking lot, but they're not truly a parking lot.
Yeah,
For example,
I think our bylaws reference them as pullouts or
Mhm.
passing areas. I think calling them a parking lot is going to be confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. we can easily amend that verbiage to be pull-out areas or driveway areas.
Excellent. All right, very good.
Are we good to close the hearing then?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to go up that driveway in the winter, but I don't have any other real objections
Yeah.
or
I've
concerns
seen
at the
worse,
moment.
but I agree.
At a 12% grade that long, that's a pretty onerous, but yeah,
Yeah, that's a maximum grade, if I recall.
I live on a fairly steep common driveway myself, or it has one sort of steep curving section, and I've had to abandon my car a few times in the winter, down at the bottom of the driveway, or have to take a good run up. So this was obviously built, I think, before this was probably built 25 years ago, so I don't think it was quite thought about, but yeah, it's a challenge. So hopefully this is all right.
I mean,
Invest in snow tires.
yeah. I mean, this complies with the regs as written, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to close the, this is both the backland lot and the special permit, correct, Todd? That we're
That's
closing?
correct. Yeah, this is a twofer.
I will make a motion to close the backland lot special permit and shared driveway special permit for 0 Main Street.
Second.
Very good. I'll begin a call vote. I'll begin with Pete.
Aye.
Mark,
All right.
James,
Aye.
Michael.
Aye.
Very good. Motion carries.
Okay, so our third item here is a continued definitive.
Sorry to interrupt, guys. This is Alex from the hearing you guys just closed. I guess I just didn't fully understand. So the hearing's closed, but there's no vote at the meeting.
Yeah, so what we typically do is we'll vote, we'll take a look at the actual written decision. And once that's drafted, and then we'll vote on that. We vote on that and then sign it. So probably, I don't know, Todd, would we have that to be able to vote on at our next meeting?
Oh, yeah. Gosh, yeah. I could have that ready for maybe a week and change, but there isn't a meeting until December 7th.
Yeah.
Until December 7th, you said?
That's the next meeting, Alex. Yes.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, sure. That just allows us to make sure the language in there, everyone's agreeable to, because we've had some issues in the past where we vote and then we actually don't sign it, because it doesn't matter until we sign it. It's not
Yeah.
approved anyway.
Yeah, I guess I'm just, I had mentioned to you guys before, the time of everything is a killer. So that's why I was hoping, I guess I was under the false impression at the last meeting that you guys just needed that one item to get calculations on, and then we could potentially get a vote. It's just kind of what I've been, I know it's not your guys' fault, but it's just been tough because it's been several months, and obviously not just a single board. And then on top of that, there's, obviously once you guys vote, then there's another period after that until signatures, and then there's the appeal period. It's tough. I know maybe it's the current system, but just wanted you guys to know that.
Yeah, I can empathize, Alex. I do. Before this, I previously worked for a real estate investment trust, and I can empathize with with the delay. However, I've also seen similar subdivisions, which this technically is. I've seen items like this take between 3 to 4 years before. So several months versus a couple to a few years. This actually was remarkably swift.
All right, guys.
This is all, the driveway and the drainage issues that we've been working with
Mhm.
have not, it's not an easy parcel. There's a lot of issues to work through there, so, which, takes time, so,
I know,
If this-
it is what it is, but I just,
Indeed.
yeah.
If this were a checkerboard development in the middle of Kansas, it would have been long since over, but alas.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Appreciate your time.
Take care, Alex.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay, so just going on to the third public hearing, continued definitive subdivision plan approval, farmland, open space plan, residential developments. So this is for South Bolton Road, Bolter's Assessors Map 2C, parcel 23. So let me just, I think we had Todd, you had just sent an email earlier today, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I just sent Todd the updated plans. I thought I sent the wrong ones earlier or this week, so I apologize.
Quite all right. I was going to say it's a wee bit short notice, so I haven't had time to chew on it entirely. Been rather busy, but thank you nonetheless.
Okay, yeah, I see him here. So, yeah, Jeff, if you want to maybe take the floor and talk
Yep.
about the updates and we can.
Yeah, just the kind of simple things that were added were the spots for the open space plan. There's 3 spots added, kind of on the top left corner. Right next to that was snow removal, or snow storage area, because there's no island anymore, because less pavement, and leaving room for DPW snow storage. And then the septic locations were not in on the last plans. Now they are.
Yeah, thank you for that, by the way.
And sorry, Todd, just going back to the cul-de-sac and the island, did we get alignment with DPW on that? Because I remember, if I remember correctly, the DPW director had said, oh, we want an island because there's less pavement, but we had said, well, we should check with him on that.
Yeah, I spoke with Randy briefly relating to this, and he really didn't. It wasn't that firm of an item. For this particular, I really deferred to the fire chief's requests, seeing that personal safety kind of outweighs the particular wants of the DPW director in that case. So just to make sure that there's adequate space for emergency vehicles to service the area, that was the basis for that. Yeah.
So he's good with it, is what you're saying?
Yeah, he's okay with that.
No objection. Okay. Just looking, I see on page, I don't know what this is, like page 9 of the plan, it has the proposed 3 parking spaces off the cul-de-sac. And then you mentioned that there's the snow storage area is also indicated somewhere.
Yeah, sorry, I don't know. I'm doing this from my phone, so I was trying to bring
I don't
this up.
think that same page, but maybe it's on a different one.
Todd, can you maybe bring up the plan so we can?
Yes, I can. Hang on one quick sec. There we go. Can you guys see this all right?
Yes.
Excellent. So you can see this great, because I have 2 monitors going on, so I don't know which one you guys can see. All right.
so that's the old plan.
Yeah, so if you scroll, Todd, to page,
That's the old plan. It doesn't show the,
So,
doesn't show the septics and doesn't show the parking.
yep, give me one quick second. I'll pull that up.
yeah, I see the septics on this one, but.
Yeah.
Today. So.
Yeah, let's see. So there's the parking. Uh, and then can I bring this up? My phone.
One, two,
It's there somewhere, I swear.
six,
Um,
Yeah, that page right there, Todd.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just had to look a little foolish and count by one at a time.
So yeah, to the right and left of the parking is like a snow storage area.
Okay, I don't think it actually says that on the plan.
No,
Okay.
what,
Parking space,
what's,
parking spaces here, but it doesn't actually have a label that I've seen.
Yeah,
I'll ask, yeah, I'll ask where the label is, but that's where it is anyways.
okay,
so it's a 50-foot radius. And then what, the curbing around, and then what's back behind the curbing, the kind of scallop,
Nothing. I mean,
I mean, it looks like it's showing something. So it's supposed to be tree, so Todd, if you zoom in a little bit.
Sure.
Here,
Hang on.
yeah. Kind of this, the scallop lines on, is that supposed to be grass? Is that trees? What's that? Is there sidewalk along the cul-de-sac
I was
there?
under the understanding that was the snow storage areas.
Well, I would say that it goes all the way down to,
The road,
Yeah.
yeah.
all the way down to,
Yeah.
the road. So I don't think that's what it is. So,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
I would
clear.
like, I would like to, just to avoid the confusion, I would like to see this more clearly outlined and with better labeling, so we know exactly where this is occurring.
Okay.
Because it's a little clunky, and I don't want to look at this plan 10 years from now and have the same questions that we've had before.
and what, I mean, what is the area back? You've got the cul-de-sac though. Is there sidewalk all the way down to, around the cul-de-sac and down to the road?
There shouldn't be, because we elected
Okay.
B in lieu of sidewalks. I'll have to check. I apologize. It's hard to get my engineer on some of
No,
these.
It's quite all right.
Actually, Todd, if you look, that whole area all the way around is labeled as proposed snow storage. It's down right. It's down on.
Oh, I see.
on-
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, I thought that's what he said it was. Sorry, I went over this with him. I just I was
Yeah.
I'll So you said it and I started to become unsure of myself.
Yeah, no, we just got these plans, so I really
Yeah,
haven't had a
yeah,
chance to-
me too. I just, you know,
Yeah.
it was literally like, yeah, I added it and here's these 3 things. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, great.
Not to worry, not to worry. At least I don't feel completely foolish, not usually. But
Yeah, it's hard when you get plans midday to,
Yeah,
you got this a few hours ago. If-
Yep.
Yeah. okay.
yeah, I know it's weird, but he told me, the engineer just said, he's like, I've never been asked to put a snow storage area in, so this is all I could think of as to show how it goes.
Fun. Isn't CAD fun?
Yeah, if it didn't have all the sensitive areas around it, we might not have worried as much about it, but
Yeah, especially with, there's so much presence here, it makes sense.
Yeah, so do you guys have any other questions, comments?
So I guess one from me, I recall at the site walk we went on, the proposed, where the road is going to go. There's, I believe, if I remember correctly, there's a stone wall there.
Mhm.
And typically, as you might have heard through any of the other discussions we've been on that maybe you've been in and out, stone walls are very, some of the older stone walls, we like to try to, preserve those stones as much as possible. So, obviously understanding that some dimension of the stone wall is going to have to be removed to put the road in. Typically what we like to see is those stones kind of kept and maintained on the site, right? So sometimes folks will make like a, kind of take them out and make like a little, kind of curve in, rebuild the wall kind of curving in, or use the stones to fix other areas of an adjacent stone wall. Like I think where we actually walked in for the site visit was down a little bit further. And there like wasn't, any there, maybe that had been moved or something. So I think that would be one, request for any of the stones that have to be removed, to try to be thoughtfully reused, either to repair other places along that stone wall, or maybe like, kind of sort of feed into the road if possible, depending on the terrain and stuff like that. We've done that in the past.
Yeah, it's the same, because one of the
Sorry, just lost you.
yeah,
Did his
sorry,
mic-
we talked about, making it denote the property line. So we would do, so yeah, something of the similar, like you said, for those, or just put them where the opening is that we walked through last time. It's like,
yeah, I think the wall on lot 4 is going to be a bigger challenge than the entryway here, but
yep.
Yeah. Does anyone have any more questions?
None for me. It
had we requested any kind of physical reminder or barrier to denote the kind of the edges of the priority habitats and the open space along the back?
As far as I know, the only thing we were talking about was clearly denoting the behind the houses, that 50-foot area that no, they couldn't touch any trees or anything like that, putting signs up on things of that nature. Nothing specifically with the open space area. Besides that, which I guess is technically the open space area.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we may want to consider something similar. Well, that's part of the open space. That's probably okay. Just the wetland area and the priority habitat area in the front there, next to the cul-de-sac.
On the right side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's where the signs would go. Are you talking
Okay.
about additional signs, not about cutting down trees and removing stuff, or?
I think just making sure that people know that there's that's an area, you can't dump yard waste and or cut trees or anything like that in that area.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. So make it one, whatever. We could make multiple signs that say, habitat zone, no cutting, dumping of any kind or anything,
Yeah.
Will that kind of a sign go up behind the houses?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, because we have had a number of issues with that, with trail easements, where people have in fact not only put yard waste, but they've actually put garden sheds out there.
I mean, technically that's not, that's off their property at that point, but people also get weird where they think the open space is theirs and get upset when people walk through it or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, we can stipulate via conditions that if we can add, request that they add, additional signs that is be required.
Yeah.
Is that something that Concom would require over and above us, or?
That their signage is a bit more of a nebulous topic, especially here in Bolton. It's not strictly, I wouldn't put that strictly in one domain or the other, but I can talk with Rebecca and they can just simply go it from that angle too. It's different ways to the same place.
Well, I think in a number of cases, there has been a genuine misunderstanding
Sure.
about where that line is
Yeah.
and what that line
that's for
means.
sure. Certainly. I'll talk with
I
Rebecca.
think between us and Concom, we can come up with an agreement on where the signs are needed and what they need to say.
Agreed.
and-
And when constructing, if we do happen to vote on this item, when constructing that document, I will be consulting Rebecca and seeking guidance on that too, because that's very much her expertise as opposed to mine.
She's very familiar with the issue.
Oh yeah. She's a sharp tack. I certainly listen.
So I'm not remembering clearly, but for these type of subdivision, approvals, do we usually have these reviewed by our peer reviewer at this stage, like before we approve it, or is that only once construction starts? I just don't remember the last one we did.
If there are technical elements that require that specialized skill set, I would absolutely agree. If you would feel more confident before voting to retain a peer reviewer to evaluate this proposal, I'd be amenable to that as long as the applicant understands the cost.
Yeah, I guess.
I guess the question is there a need to?
Yeah, that's what I was driving at. Yeah. I mean, looking on appearance here, the matters of sensitive ecological areas seems to be clearly delineated, and they seem to be well away from development zones. Aside from the easterly portion here at the crux of this obtuse angle, that's something that would need to be kind of at least overseen by. But aside from that, I don't see anything that screams out to me caution or beware in that sense.
I don't either, but it might be worth at least checking with Rebecca on that.
Sure.
Are they asking for any waivers on this?
I don't believe so.
Okay,
I haven't gotten any written requests for them.
okay.
Well, yeah. The traffic study.
Oh, yes, that's right. I'm just taking some notes.
Which I hope you don't need a peer reviewer for a traffic study.
I think we're all right on that one.
All right.
So to the board and to through the chair, I suppose, I would like to consult with Rebecca. I would like to continue this item, and while that's going on, I would like to consult with Rebecca to see if she would advise bringing in a peer review for any particular sensitive and ecological areas, and also to see if there's any items there that that kind of pique her attention.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, I just don't remember the last, when we did, Keys Farm or Tadmore a few years ago. I just don't recall whether when we had Fred Hamway, with us, he was, very, very thorough throughout everything for us. And obviously he retired, but I just don't recall if he would, be present at this stage. I don't think we've actually done something of this size since that a few years ago. So that's my only question. I mean,
Yeah, and this is of course, as you know, my first one of these here in Bolton. So I'd like to at least get the workflow down in a way that makes the most sense. That's why I would like to bring in Rebecca to have it pass her muster as well.
Has she provided comments already, Todd?
I think she has sent an email, but it was more of an in passing. It hasn't been anything formalized and something officially coming from her office.
Good. Thought I'd seen that.
Yeah, and especially since this is a brand new plan set, I want her to see the most recent before.
Okay. Good point.
Yeah, and I bring that up not to say we want to cause more time to be taken or more costs to the applicant. It just during the construction, our peer reviewer basically has to, be there along the way, right? So if there's something that is a potential issue initially going in, you could construct, do a bunch of work, and then the peer reviewer says, well, no, you're not doing this, and then we could end up in a situation that because we're not. I mean, I'm by no means a civil engineer or anything like that. So that's really only why I bring it up, just as a not wanting to get into a bad situation down the road that's going to cost a lot more time and money.
And it could very well be more expensive to all of us if we should take this ounce of prevention just to be extra careful. Because once authorized, these things can't rightly well be undone. So I would rather be thorough for the sake of being thorough. And given that this isn't exactly construction season anyway, I hope you'll indulge us.
Sure. I'm hoping for construction season all year long. I don't know about you guys.
Well, that's fair. I can't.
Yeah, it's coming. Don't worry.
And this should be a mild winter, so it'll come quicker than you think. Just be worried about the mud.
I don't know. My neighbor still has a boat in the water. So
Well, I mean,
Good luck with that.
yeah,
Yeah,
fall's not the
not
best
my
time to
problem.
fish. Fall's not the best time to fish, and I wouldn't keep it there too long. I'm getting frost in the morning now.
Yeah. neither would I.
Yeah, fiberglass doesn't appreciate being frozen. All right.
Nope.
Are there any trees that are gonna need to be taken down in the public right of way that require a tree hearing?
Are there trees bigger than, or as the law states now, I
No.
forget exactly what was, but
I believe it's 1.5, if I remember.
no, I don't think there was an actual number
Okay.
associated. It just was a kind of generic statement. Large trees of some sort, but when my engineer went out there, he didn't see any large trees right in the roadway, but again, that's kind of up to each person's opinion of what.
Keep in mind, South Bolton is a scenic road.
Yeah, I would just recommend Jeff to check with the tree warden,
Yeah.
he'd be able to tell you, he's great, and he'd be able to tell you whether you would need a hearing. We just wouldn't want to get a situation where, you try to start and can't because of that, because that, as a public hearing, it has to be noticed and go through the process, and then of course, something gets cut down, that creates.
Yeah, I would absolutely like for you to send an email to Mr. Case, Mark Case, our tree warden, CC me on it, just so that way we're all on the same line of communication, so we're all in the loop as to whether or not there are any trees there that would be subject to a tree hearing.
Well, it would require a scenic
It's
scenic road here anyway, so, but yeah, making sure that they're both,
Yep, P's and Q's, all that fun stuff. All right, so Jeff, do you think you've got your marching orders well in place?
Yep. Well, I guess for me, it's just the tree warden, and I guess I'll wait to hear from you in regards to Rebecca and the
Yep.
other position.
Yeah, conservation. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I'll reach out to Rebecca whilst you reach out to Mark, and we'll meet in the middle. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Lovely.
So continue to December 7th.
Yes. That'd be-
Agenda item 3 at this point. I will make a motion to continue the definitive subdivision plan for approval, Fosford, for South Bolton Road, Assessor's Map 2.C, parcel 23, until December 7th, third agenda item.
second,
Very good. With that in mind, I'll begin a roll call vote. I'll begin with Pete,
Aye.
Mark,
aye,
very good. James,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
very good. With that, motion carries.
All right, thanks a lot, gentlemen. Have a good.
thanks.
Take care. Oh, and don't forget to keep me in the loop with your talk with Mr. Case.
Yeah, I'll copy you. Yep.
Lovely. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Bye.
Yep, take care.
Okay. Actually, Todd, I just wanted to ask one question before we go on to the regulation recommendations, going back to what you had updated us earlier on some of those subdivisions, right? So
Yes.
because we got that email from a resident at Century Mills who
Yes.
sent a few of those emails. So what you would, does that mean Century Mills, any conversation with them is also just going through attorneys at this point?
Yeah, there's
okay.
only conversation going between different counsel. It's been elevated outside of all municipal offices at this point.
Okay, and so does that gentleman know that? I never
yes.
like to respond to emails like that because of,
No, it's.
worrying about saying the wrong thing, so I read them, but I don't respond, so. But he
I
has
did
reached out a
this.
few times.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, he's reached out with those questions a few times, going back to when Valerie's here, so
Yes.
I just wanted to, did you basically tell him, hey, this is out of our hands kind of thing?
Yeah, that's exactly, that pretty much is that's the distillation of my email to him today.
Okay.
was just letting him know the lay of the land, pun not intended. And this is where it's in lawyers' hands now. And at this point, it's been elevated beyond not only my office, but also Don's office as well.
Gotcha. No, appreciate that. I just want, don't want him to think we're ignoring him. I know it's complicated, and that's just why I asked the question. So I appreciate it.
Oh, no, it's quite all right. It's quite all right. And I can understand the frustration. I want to be on the record for that. I can absolutely empathize with not only this subdivision, but all the residents for the other beleaguered subdivisions that are out there. It's I can only imagine how frustrating it is. I can only
Todd, do you get updates from town council?
I do, and I'm awaiting updates from Council Falk here. He received my message and replied 2 days ago, but I've yet to receive anything as of yet. So I'm hoping to get something either tomorrow or maybe Monday.
How are they disseminated? I mean, is that something that should be discussed by this board in an executive session?
Maybe an executive session, but I would want to run that by Don first, especially because it has it's got confidential, it's confidential information between attorney and client, and so it gets a little bit dubious to expand that umbrella any farther.
Well, in view of the fact that we're the client, kind of nice to
true.
know.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, true. But no, I'll reach out to Don and I'll talk with Brian about it, Mr. Falk, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no, you're very welcome.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Todd. Okay, so discussion of regulation recommendations.
Sure. So I don't want to open a can of worms here, but I would like to see us get some warrant article up for town meeting, but our feet are kind of up against the ledge. We don't have a lot of time to do that. However, there are some points where we can reach some pretty low hanging fruit there. And I sent I coalesced a list of items that were part Valerie's, I won't call them a wish list and I won't call it a to-do list, but it's more of a, I wish I could do this list. And I went ahead and classified that by the amount of time each one of those component items would take, green, yellow, and red respectively. And there were a couple of green items there that we could work on. Notably, there are some items that don't require us to go before town meeting, which are excellent. Notably subdivision regs. They do require a standard public hearing process to initiate, but we can crack open subdivision regs. And for example, for any anonymous beleaguered subdivision that happens to be causing issues, we can require at time of submission that we hold them to the same exact standard of road maintenance that we hold town roads to. As I mentioned before, we can't be overly onerous on the subdivision owner and require that they hold their roads to a higher standard than us, but we can hold them to the same standard as public roads, publicly accepted roads. So that's something that we can do within our subdivision regulations. And again, that won't apply to any previous currently existing problematic subdivisions, but it's something that with an eye towards the future, we can prevent future items like that happening again. To speak in broad anonymous terms, I want to stipulate anonymous terms. In addition to that, for our scenic roadways, I do see that it's a scenic road bylaw, but I've also seen that it's mentioned as part of a different set of regulations. I want to get some clarity from town council to see if we wanted to tighten up our and make the scenic roadways, either whether it's for trees or for stone walls, if we can take a note from Harvard, as I mentioned in our previous meeting, where the cap on each one of those offenses is set at $300 by Mass General Law. We can't exceed that per offense. But what Harvard does is they treat every single foot of destroyed stone wall as a separate offense. And then every day that that stone wall remains disassembled is also a separate offense. So by that metric, it still complies with Mass General Law. It's still currently existing in the town of Harvard. It's in effect right now as we speak. So in that sense, I have no fear about it passing through Attorney General's muster. So it will sail through the AG's office. We just need to get that language together and then assembled into that warrant article item and then brought up for the town meeting warrant later on this year, or later on for the next meeting. So
What
that's
about
something-
identification of larger trees and getting to the issue of clear cutting?
That one there, I haven't even begun to broach yet. I've been kind of eyeball deep in stone wall regulation throughout the state. But I will be doing that probably first thing in the morning, is looking up clear cutting bylaws and what we can have in terms of enforcement actions for that kind of.
Can you copy us on whatever you sent to Dawn in terms of
Oh, God, yeah.
color coding, time
sure.
and complexity?
You got it. Yeah. I'll send that out to you here once at the conclusion of this meeting.
Okay,
I listed the items that are green are ones that are pretty well low hanging fruit and straightforward. Items that in yellow that are a little bit sticky and they have a little bit of nuance to them, and or could take a moderate amount of time, and items in red that will take either a consultant or something of that magnitude to address.
yeah, I think in addition to the ones that are simple, we ought to think about the potential impact.
Yeah.
And even if they are somewhat more difficult, start working towards that fairly quickly.
Sure,
And if we need to bring in a consultant, so be it.
Sure.
But we're going to be under a lot of pressure in the near term.
Hmm.
Land is becoming very valuable. People are developing land in ways that they've never been able to do or haven't wanted to do
in a long time.
in the past. And we've got a couple of examples of that already.
Agreed. But I'll go ahead and I'll make sure I send that out to members of the board here at the conclusion of this meeting. But aside from that,
And one of the things that occurred in discussing the Meadow Road lots is the replacement or relocation of the stone wall, which is not a stone wall, but is becoming a fairly massive retaining wall. And what are the implications of that to rural character and country roads and all the rest of that, and how, without getting into phenomenal detail, is there a way to address that issue? As I mentioned to you earlier today, there's a great deal of difference between a stone wall and the Maginot Line.
sorry, the history nerd in me finds that funny. Okay, so aside from that, I'll make sure I get that color coded list to you. There are a couple items there that are exceedingly heavy lifts and are basically just right out in terms of possibility, and whether or not they're really worth the squeeze, as the saying goes.
Okay,
I've yet to be convinced by some of them, but either way, I have kind of trimmed and pared down that list, and I'll make sure I get that to you guys here in a wee bit.
Yep.
All right.
yeah, I'm interested in not only time and investment, but ROI.
Oh yeah, very much so. Okay, and let's see. Are there any other items that have slipped by us yet?
Nope.
Lovely.
No, but I think moving forward on that particular issue and reviewing that list and getting our heads together on what makes sense and realistic timing and potential impact is fairly critical.
Yeah, I agree. And especially with matters of clear cutting and deforestation, for a town like Bolton, it's of highlighted importance, I would say.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see more of it. I don't want to, but. And it's a tricky deal.
That too. Anyone else have any thoughts, comments, concerns?
For me, no.
Alrighty.
All right, we all set then?
I think so.
Yeah, think
I
we
will
can-
make a motion to adjourn.
I will have one comment before I second it, which is, to the best of my knowledge, this is my last meeting, guys. Good
Oh,
luck.
What? You wait till the end and spring that on us. What the? Come on. Killing me. All right, fine. God. Did you guys hash out an agreement there, or
As far as,
as far as sale of the house or anything like that? Or
Yeah, we're closing sometime between the 18th and the 29th.
Wow,
So
congratulations.
thanks.
I'm mad at you, but congratulations.
Well,
Yeah, it's clearly Bolton's loss.
yeah. Yeah,
We'll see
no,
how
you can warn Wells that I'm here now and make sure that they keep their boards fully staffed.
So do you see this guy here with the suit get up on inside the office? He's sad right now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's your fault. Live with him.
Yeah, well, it's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it here, right?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Thank you, Mark, for everything.
anyway.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I just got to work with you for what? Not even, like almost exactly 2 months, and you're already leaving. What the hell? Okay,
you
fine.
chased me out of town. What can I say? Yeah.
I know I can do that, and I'm usually sorry, but not right now. Actually, I'm quite sorry. right. No, it's been really great working with you, Mark. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yep. And so, given all of that, I will second the motion to adjourn.
Very good. I guess I will begrudgingly call the vote. Pete,
Gonna miss you, Mark. Thanks for everything. It's been a pleasure. I will vote aye.
okay. Mark, good sir.
All right. Yep.
I see how it is. James.
Aye.
All right. One word. All right. Michael
Aye.
and Bob, do you want to get on this one?
Well, if we don't agree, does he have to stick?
So you're saying I
Well,
can
we'll
just
we'll
like,
just keep the meeting open and
wow, out of
So-
spite, the motion to.
Boy,
so how does that work? If I'm a town resident when the meeting starts, but I'm not but the meeting never closes, we could all move out of town and still be on the board?
Wow,
It's like a filibuster.
Let me send a message to Miracle O'Connell. I'll get back to you in about 8 years.
Yeah, we'll just keep this meeting open until then, right?
Very good. I will say with a sad face, the motion carries.
Okay, guys.
Good luck, Mark.
Take care,
Thanks.
Mark.
Yeah,
Be
we'll
hard to
talk to you
know you.
later.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye-bye.